Hi guys, welcome to Next Festival 2021. My name is Peter. I have a creative Catastrophe Collective here with me. We're gonna have a live interview, talk with you. My pleasure to meet you here. Welcome. Could you please introduce yourself to us? Say a name, where you're from.
Yeah, my name is Sol A. I am the composer of the piece and one of the founders of the collective. And I am originally from Iceland, but I've been living in the Netherlands for the past 4 years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, cool. I'm Christian, and I'm from Ohio in the States. And I've been living in the Netherlands for 5 years now, and been living in Europe for about 7. And I play percussion and produce music and other stuff. So, yeah.
What is your history? How did you got together? I mean, with Creative Catastrophe Collective. What's its history?
It's so the name is actually very new, but I'd say like it started out with me and 2 percussionists that I met in The Hague, whose names are Jose Silva and Antoine Joslan. We started working together in just school projects, and then Antoine and Jose asked me to compose a piece for their graduation recital. And we worked on it over a bit short time, but we realized that we wanted to work on something more in depth together. And after the summer, we started having regular meetings and meeting up and experimenting. I think one of the most important parts of this experimentation was that there was like no real vision for an end goal. There wasn't really a like vision for what it would become. We just met like usually once a week and would brainstorm together, and we had a lot of ideas that some of them are absolutely ridiculous, while others are still ideas for like pieces to come. And yeah, first about the first movement of the piece we're performing at the festival, Perspectives. It's with a tam-tam. It's kind of big percussion instrument, like a gong, and it's played with feedback. And this was actually an accident.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt you. We'll talk about it later,
Yeah.
maybe. I'm wondering. So basically, you are an art school project. Can we say it like that? You're an art school student. What were you studying in Hague?
I was studying composition, and I just graduated this spring, and also studied a lot in the Institute of Sonology.
Okay.
I haven't been in school for how many years? 5 years. So, but I did 2 master's degrees in music and percussion performance, and But yeah, I never studied with Soleil or any of these folks, but I met them when I moved to The Hague in 2016. So, yeah.
So Hague is a place to be for kind of art you've been making. It's like.
I think it's pretty vibrant, and there's a lot going on.
Well, yeah, the Netherlands in general, for sure. Yeah.
They have a good universities, like Institute of Sonology and stuff. So you meet new people, you can cooperate together, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So why catastrophe? For me, catastrophe means something not good.
I think this is like like I said, the name came very late, and this piece is developed with Antoine Jose and Toyon Park, who made the visuals and stage design. This name came very late. We've been working together, a lot of the 4 of us, but also with other performers and like other people joining in different contexts. And it just describes our workflow. We just kind of don't know what we're doing, and we throw everything out there, and we pick up the pieces and try to make something out of the mess. And I'm happy about the outcome, but sometimes the creative process is an adventure, and very chaotic, and sometimes a catastrophe. So.
A drama or catastrophe can be from antique drama as well, isn't it? Like a peak level, and then it goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would say there was a lot of fun there's always a lot of excitement in the creation, and we're not the people who think squarely inside the box and try to do things correctly. We do things very messy ways.
Yeah.
How many people are in your collective right now?
Keeps growing.
Yeah, I think it keeps growing. So Perspectives is like developed mainly creatively with so 4 people: Soyun, Antoine, Jose, and me, and we had more people involved in the process. And then now actually we have a completely new performance group.
Yeah.
But, so that's a good reason for it being a catastrophe, because we're maybe also not the best planners. So,
Well,
so yeah.
what does involve to be in a performing group? I mean, do you have like some kind of special relationship, some bonds? Do you live a communal life somewhere together? Are you good friends, or is it just the work project?
I think that's funny, but yeah, no, Soleil and I were, I think, well, we were friends before this.
You also helped that, like, before Christian performed this, he actually helped setting up, or like breaking down the piece at least.
I did, yeah, and so I've known people involved in the project for a while, but I think actually, you know, I knew Soleil before this, but now actually through this process, I think we've become closer, and then also the other 2 people that we're working with, Nathan and Joao, like they're working right now, and for them, totally new people. Actually, it was very funny. Nathan, who's running video and lights for the project, he and I met at a rehearsal last week, the day before we had a concert together, but we didn't know that we had a concert together, and then we found out. So it was you're always meeting people, and these new people in these contexts. So
yeah, Soyun, who made the visuals, and me, we share a studio together. And we have, I mean, with Jose, Antoine, and Soyun, I worked a lot with them in different contexts before we established this collective, and also worked on this piece for a really long time. And I mean, yeah, I think like being good friends with your colleagues is very important. It creates a very different.
It's just also part of it. You just have to. Part of the job is just getting to be really good at like meeting people really fast, working together, and having fun, but also working really hard, and that's just part of the process with everything that we do anywhere. So, yeah. Okay,
let's go to the official questions. How many people are involved in this project Perspective here in this A4 in Next Festival?
We have 4 people.
4 people. Yeah.
So we're all performing in different ways. So Christian and Joao are trained percussionists. I'm not sure if I can say you're playing percussion right now. We're playing tam-tam together in a very non-conventional way, and then
but we don't touch it.
We don't touch it, so it's not really percussion. And Christian is hitting himself, which can be counted as percussion, body percussion. Okay,
Yeah.
Hitting himself sounds very brutal, but he's
I have a long history.
and Joao is in a box that he's playing. So, well, they're percussionists. It's questionable percussion.
Yeah.
And then I am performing live electronics and singing. And Nathan is performing the visuals live and also doing the sound and the lights.
Yeah.
So singing, lights, percussions, and what else?
A lot of live electronics, I would say, and some microphone and speaker feedback systems. A lot of feedback.
Any physical objects on stage this time?
Yeah. There's so it's a large installation. The whole piece is an installation, so people walk into an installation, kind of an immersive performance. So I say live electronics, but actually the whole space is this kind of hybrid speaker installation. So it's like instruments that they use speakers, but the speakers are being projected on something, so the sound is kind of transformed. And yeah, it's a lot of speakers and microphones that are altering the sound in the physical world.
Some constructions on stage, are there any? I mean,
Constructions.
Oh, there's like the robots and the.
There's a robot, and there's a big box that Joe will be.
Yeah, we had to take it apart and put it back together to get it into space today. So there's plenty of construction. Actually, I mean, the whole thing is really could act on its own just as an installation.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, in a way.
So yeah.
No, I mean I think a lot about how to alter the space. That's where the word perspectives comes from. It has different approaches to it, or like on a conceptual level, like how we approach this word and what it means. But one of these aspects is like the perspectives of a sound source. Like, for example, the word perspectives in Icelandic is shone, and it literally means visual angle. But this piece is very much about, it takes consideration to the visual aspect, but it's very much about the aspect of the sound. Like, do you hear the sound from, like, you're inside of it? Is it around you? Is it, what's your relationship with it?
Okay.
So.
Perspectives of sound, it's better saying, okay. So do you work with some spatial audio, spatial sound machines or speakers?
Yeah, so basically this whole installation is a spatial sound installation. So it's some kind of hybrid instrument speakers, but we're working a lot with that, yeah. And yeah, like, so as I maybe go a bit further with the idea of the perspective.
I was just gonna say I don't want to give too much away, but there is a part where literally you are being shown where, like, you're being directed to where sound is coming from, and we're moving sound around physically.
Yeah.
So it's completely spatial. Yeah, like, and it's changing depending on where you are. So.
I also wanted to say this kind of maybe physical relationship to the sound. Like, you can have a spatial sound as in like, like funky sounds moving all around you, like. But this is more about this kind of like, where does your actual tactile physical relationship lie with the sound, and using this. It's very kind of analog, old school methods of transforming sound. But and this kind of idea of like, where are you as an audience positioned in the sound? So maybe, if I give totally things away, then like there's one moment where the performer is playing the box, and it's a square box, and we have a square, like, regular PA system, a quiet system that is all around, and the sound is being projected, like, correspondingly to each wall of the speakers. So the sound you hear is like you are inside of the box, and you're hearing it being projected and moved all around you. So.
Do we talk about sound or music? Is it to what extent is music important to this piece?
I think that's a really good point, because, like, from the outside, because I saw parts of it performed over the past few years in different settings, and like, I think it is music. Like, this is, I don't want to open up this whole thing, but I would say Soleil has a really good approach to sound, that it's not just fetishizing sound production. It's really like there's an arc and an embodiment that goes beyond just like the nitty-gritty details of the sound. Like, there's an emotional feeling and background that I think everybody relates to when they listen to it and are there. So it's sound and music, and back to sound and performance and bodies and all this stuff. So yeah.
So it's more about sound making those sensoric responses, body making sensoric responses to sound. So no more smells, no more touching. It's more about it's about sound.
There should be some smells.
There's no smells in the show. No, I don't know. The way I think of it is more. I think very much from a conceptual starting point. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's more about the meaning of, and I think the meaning in the relationship between sound and music is like I'm more about the like what is the reason for using a particular sound, or like there's definitely music, and there's also music that for me is sometimes purposely naive, but that's because that supports the concept. Like there's one part that there's a lullaby, and this lullaby is about the relationship we have with our ancestors and what we do with what we have learned from them, and what we give to the future. And it's a lullaby because how do you convey a message to a child? You know, like how do you convey a message to your future, you know, like grandchildren? But then there's a conceptual layer of why, you know, like of the sound. So you know, like I feel like this question of like why is more important, and if it has to be naive for the concept, then it will be naive.
And it has to be experienced, I think, in person, for it to. That's part of the concept, that the physical being there is a big part of it. Yeah.
And yeah, in that sense, it's like if smell is important to the concept, there will be smell. But I don't think there's. but there is tactile, and there is visuals, and there is sound. But it's not about the more is more. It's about the how do we convey a message most effectively.
Mm-hmm. What's well, maybe stupid questions. What's the message of it?
Yeah, what's the message? So maybe I go a little bit back to the process, because like I said, like me and Antoine and Jose started making this piece by just meeting up and brainstorming, and over time we came with this phrase that is like us as objects, us around objects, us inside objects, objects inside us, objects around us, objects as us. And this is the kind of theme over the piece, that like there are 6 movements, and each of them relates to this, each of these sentences. I think very importantly to say, like this piece was like took almost 3 years in the making. So of course the concept changed over time. And if I would have explained it 2 years ago, I would probably have said something completely different. But I think what, like a realization that came a bit late was, and started connecting all the dots together, is about this, it's about the tip of the iceberg. It's about like what we know, and that just the acknowledgement that our knowledge is super limited, and the way that we connect things is based on a very limited perspective. It's the tip of the iceberg. So I think all the different movements, they just try to approach this in different ways. Like the box is a very kind of symbolic thing of like, this is my limit, you know, like this is my physical limit. Yeah, I think I'll just say more in details about the piece. I don't know if people have seen the piece, but what's his interview?
Well, it's also I mean, like I never, even if in a pop song somebody's literally saying what the song's about, I never get like my experience with listening and hearing is like I never get like a message, and I would never know how to convey a message through it. But there's always, I mean, I understand what the question is, of course. Like I get the idea that like there has to be a concept and a thought that goes into anything that you do, like an intention.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know as a creator myself, like those intentions can be sometimes totally like random and arbitrary, and you just find something that like, you know, attracts you, and you just go with it. And then at the end you come out with an hour of music, and you're like, how did I get here? And how do I communicate this to people in a way that makes sense? But you know, sometimes it doesn't make sense, and sometimes it's just.
Let's try to imagine that I'm like completely new into this sound art, performative art, and I'm going to your performance here. How to prepare for it? How to get the best out of it?
Oh well, this is a very difficult question.
I think you just go. If you want to go, you go. If you don't want to go, you don't go. And then I think with anything, like especially as I've gotten older, I think you just You try not to have too many expectations for anything, you know, and then if it works for you, then you enjoy it, and you want more, and then. But I think if somebody comes expecting anything, you know, like if I came to this and expected based on it that it was going to be like this, I have no idea what I would expect. But you know, I think it's just always important never to have any expectations and to be open and just listen or watch and then see what you think afterwards. You know, that's it.
Do you foster the direct participation of the audience in this piece, or how do people react? What's your experience with that?
Well,
I mean, it's not direct in a way that we're literally telling people what to do. It's more of a spatial participation. Like we want people to be there with us in the space. Like they can come closer. They can move around. Like when it comes to the spatial sound and also the spatial visuals, it's also about putting certain responsibility for the audience. That like, if you stand still the entire time, your perspective is going to be very limited. While if you move around, you'll experience something completely different.
I tend to just sit in one place with these things. I never walk around, but that's what I enjoy. So if somebody wants to just be in have their one viewpoint for the entire evening, I think that's fine. But it is made to explore. So hopefully most people feel like they're able to explore the space. Yeah.
So maybe one more from me or two more. Is it like a site-specific performance? Does it changes?
It definitely changes each time it's set up.
Does it fit into this venue? Do you like it here?
It fits very well, except that we have this big box that the doors here are very small. So we had to take it apart and put it back together again.
Make a smaller box.
Yeah,
no.
But
Not another one.
But no, I mean, it's definitely about transforming a space and make it. But you know, it's hard. Of course, we've made the piece has a certain character, so it's not like it's made specifically for this venue at all. But it's about, you know, like also transforming a space, and then you have to be adaptive because. Otherwise, you can't fit the box in the door.
I would love, for instance, to see you guys try to do it in a space that's like not made for theater or multimedia productions. I mean, it would be very difficult, but I think it would be really interesting to see like how could you do it in a church, for instance. Like how would you do that? How would you manage that without rigging and things like of that nature? So.
Well, where else have you performed with this one? Some like special nice place.
We performed at Godsbanen in Aarhus in Denmark this summer. That was a big black box, so rigging it was really easy. But on the other part, it's like more of a non-set specific venue here. Like you can work with it that way. We performed this summer in Splendor in Amsterdam. That was very set-specific.
That actually must have been really interesting.
Like,
it's actually quite a small space. In a way.
And it's also like it's a old bathhouse that's a concert space, and then also set up at IAI, that stands for Instrument Inventors Initiative in The Hague, which is a really nice. They have a really nice project space. So
it's an old. It looks like it used to be like a warehouse, and then it's on a canal, and it's a great space in The Hague. Yeah. Shout out, Instrument Inventors The Hague. Yeah.
Guys, you want to add something more about your performance here? Do we missed anything important?
I
I don't know if there's anything specific.
I will say that I am quite interested for how tomorrow is going to go, because we've been working on this in our studio late at night after my day job, like the past 2 weeks. Like this came up actually very suddenly for me, so I'm glad I could be here. So I'm excited for tomorrow, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, our rehearsals are in a lot smaller spaces. I mean, obviously, but actually that's always pretty interesting because. But it has to be, the downside of making something that is like relatively site specific is of course that very rarely that we can rehearse the full thing. You always have to do like bits and bits and see what happens when it comes all together. So.
Okay, let's see what happens. Thank you very much, Creative Catastrophe Collective. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.